Hello, I'm Kathy Krendl. I'm president of Otterbein University, and I'm with you today to talk a bit more about the future of Otterbein University and, in particular, our new curriculum. I think, as most of the people in the community of Westerville are aware, we will be going to a semester calendar next year, and with that shift to semesters, we've entirely redone our curriculum. Part of that curriculum revision has had to do with the idea of introducing more opportunities for experiential learning for students as part of their undergraduate experience at Otterbein. So, we've been talking about this over the last few segments that we've done, what we call the 5 cardinal experiences. The idea being that students learn more effectively when they have to practice what they have learned in the classroom. They take it out into the world and they apply it to real world problems. We've talked before about students engaged in original research, working with faculty members on particular research projects, perhaps in the lab, perhaps a community project. We've talked a little bit also about internships, students doing internships out in the world or gaining professional experience in the area that they particularly hope to pursue as a career. And we've also talked with students about their global engagement opportunities, students going out into the world and working in service activities or learning about other parts of the world, language, food, and lifestyles and values in other parts of the world as part of their undergraduate experience. So today what we're going to focus on is the idea of leadership, another one of the cardinal experiences. And I have 3 students with me. I want to introduce them, and then we'll be talking about their leadership experiences and how they feel that has served them well in terms of preparing them for life beyond the university. So, to my left is Ishara Garuga, and she is a student, a junior from Sri Lanka. She's an international business major with economics and accounting minors. And then moving on down the row here is Lorez Wilson. Lorez is a senior Spanish major with a minor in chemistry. And we'll hear more about that combination. That sounds sort of interesting in and of itself. And Karen Castro, who's a junior down at the end, international studies major. And we're going to be learning about all of these students' backgrounds and how they got involved in leadership experiences and why they got involved in leadership experiences and how they think it has, again, served them well. So let's start with Ishara. And I think the first obvious question for you is, coming from Sri Lanka, what made you decide to come to Otterbein? How did you find us?
Well, I think it was a really interesting story because I worked with a student counselor, and there were a lot of Midwestern school representatives that had come down. And so while I was working with her, I wanted to look into a university for myself. And so my friends were going to Otterbein, and so, she recommended another school for me, and my mom was like, apply to the place that your friends are going to because, you might miss home. And so I ended up applying to Otterbein, and so I'm actually really glad I came here.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, talk to me a little bit about what activities are you involved in where you've practiced and learned and become a leader?
During my time in Otterbein, I'm involved with the International Student Association. I'm the president for that. And then I'm also involved with Rotary. I'm the treasurer for the current exec board. And I'm also an RA in 25 this year. Okay,
so you're a role model for the undergraduate, the younger students, as well as leading the way on some of the new initiatives. I think I've been to a couple of movies that have been sponsored by the International Student Association.
Yes.
So what made you decide to take that on?
We wanted to get involved with other departments at Otterbein, and we felt like that was a way to also get our name out there and, so that we are represented. And the global dinner is something that we pride ourselves in, and so that we can show the Otterbein community as well as the Westerville community about the international students and what significant part we play at Otterbein.
Very good. Okay. Well, let's go to Lorez. And Lorez, talk to me a little bit about your leadership experiences, what activities you're involved in, and I guess a little bit about why those organizations.
Well, like Ashara, I'm also a resident assistant. I've been an RA for the past 3 years. I was a Shades of Success mentor, which is something that I pride myself on being. And I'm also involved heavily with our Heritage of Latino Americans group, or OLA.
Okay.
And I wanted to get involved with these organizations because I felt that I've always been looked up to as a leader by my friends and associates, and I wanted to really use that tool to expand upon.
Okay. So if Shades of Success is one that's really important to you, what makes that one special? You're a mentor in that program, right?
Yes. I think it's special to me
Well,
because...
maybe you should tell us what that is first.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, it's a freshman orientation program or transfer orientation program for students of multicultural backgrounds. And I think that it's really important to me because I felt that coming to a predominantly white institution, we need a support network to be established from the start. And the students involved in the program are similar to me in my background, and I felt like it's an opportunity for me to give back and appreciate what I have and what I can give to them.
And are you an Ohio resident? Are you from the state of
Yes,
Ohio?
I'm from Columbus.
From Columbus. Okay, so you didn't come from very far away. Okay. Okay. And Karen, let's talk about your leadership experiences. What activities are you involved in?
Okay. Like Ashara and Lorez, I was also a resident assistant for Hamby Hall, and I'm also a Shades of Success mentor. I also founded the Heritage of Latino Americans here on campus as the first Hispanic organization. And I'm also in Tau Epsilon Mi sorority, and I served as the Pan-Hellenic representative and the community service chair for that.
Okay. So you actually started a group.
Yes.
And why did you start that group?
Actually, I went through Shades of Success as a freshman, and Shades of Success gave me the resources to take the initiative to start this organization. The reason why I started it was because I came from a predominantly white high school, and this was the same setting. And I felt pushed, a lot of the times, students unintentionally pushed me down because of my background. And I wanted to give the the Hispanic Otterbein students and those who supported the Hispanic community a voice. So I created this organization since we weren't being represented.
So give us a couple of examples of activities that you've begun. If you're a new group, it's always, you can do anything you want, but how do you choose what to do?
Well, the main goal for our organization is to break the stereotypes of the Hispanic community, especially because in the media, usually they represent us as a negative because of the illegal immigrants, and that's not all that we are. So the most important thing that we've done is the presentation of I'm Not Taco Bell Hispanic stereotypes.
Oh, okay.
So the organization, during International Week, we presented this to the Otterbein community and the Westerville community, and so that students can learn about the stereotypes and why they're not true.
Okay, great. So it sounds like you're coming up with activities that are directly aligned with the purpose of the organization. That's great. So, well, now both you and Lorez talked about being a mentor, and I want to talk about mentoring for just a minute. What does it mean to be a mentor? Lorez, let's start with you.
Personally, I believe a mentor is someone you can look up to and someone who you not necessarily admire, but really aspire to be. And I think it's important to have someone there as a mentor because in college you'll find yourself in crazy situations and you'll need someone to turn to who's been there. And I really enjoy doing that.
So is that what happens? Have you had students come to you who have concerns about various issues?
Oh, yes. Through being an RA and just being a friend, everyone
Okay.
comes to me.
Okay, well, I guess, yeah, you're all RAs too, so you get it that way as well. Karen, what about you in terms of being a mentor? What does that mean to you?
Being a mentor is being a role model for these students, especially because the reason why I wanted to be a mentor is to promote higher education. Since we are minorities, it is known that the college dropout rate is very high. So I wanted to implement this into these students, that it's very important to finish college and to be there to support them. And even if I can't help them with their problems, I know the resources that are on campus that can help them to solve these problems. So it's just giving them support.
Okay, so in some cases you may serve as a referral agent to a support group or office on campus. And okay, again, that's part of the responsibility of an RA is to know about those kinds of things. But have you had situations where you felt you really had a positive impact on someone?
I have actually a freshman, Maria. She looks up to me, and because she sees that all the things I'm involved in, and she sees that I'm the leader of this organization, she wants to do those things. And it's an honor for me to a freshman tell me, I look up to you, like I want to be like you. So yes.
Yes, I know Maria.
Yes.
She's a great student, and she's really, I think, adjusted very well to being on campus, so that's great. Well, let's come to then how you choose what organizations to belong to. A couple of you mentioned something was important to you, but Ishara, talk a little bit about, I think you mentioned the International Student Association, but what made you want to get involved in Rotaract as I guess that's the student version of the Rotary organization?
When I was in Sri Lanka, I was involved with Interact, which is like the high school version of Rotaract, I guess. And so when I came here and I found out that Otterbein had a Rotaract club, I was really excited because I love working with community service environment, and so like giving back to the community. And so I think that really opens your eyes to what there is around the world. And a project that I did and I'm very proud of through Rotaract is when I went home last summer, we wrote for a grant for $200, and we went to a village in Sri Lanka, and it was an orphanage, and so we provided them with school supplies and basically a day to have a fun day with them, and so we provided them with a meal. So, I mean, that's a project we're really proud of in Rotaract because it's an international understanding. And I think those things really open your eyes to when you go out into the community, and you really need to look at giving back. And I think I'm getting so much from I'm so privileged in my, education here, and I think it's important to give back to the people who may not be as privileged as I am.
So what is your plan for after graduation? I mean, have the leadership experiences that you've gained during this process, have they helped you shape what you want to do with your career, at least for the short term after you graduate?
Yeah, most definitely. I think me getting involved in the International Students Association was because I'm an international student, like in the sense that was my community, or that was my family away from home. And also being an international business major, you really get to see the different cultural differences and makes you really understand those. And I think that's why I got involved in being an RA, because I wanted to experience the different kinds of people there are on campus, and then have a better perspective. And when I leave college and when I graduate, I hope to work for a multinational company, because I love to travel and I love different kinds of people, and so that's what I want to do. So work in an international department, so I have the opportunity to travel.
Okay, great.
Maybe move closer to home, though.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Okay. Well, Lorez, what have you learned in these leadership responsibilities? I mean, both of you mentioned in mentoring the idea of being a role model. Do you think about that in terms of your day-to-day life? Is that something that you might have learned, or are there other things you can point to that you feel have shaped who you are today and who you want to be in the future?
I definitely think that through my day-to-day activities, I think about being a role model. Everything that I do, I take the position of what the other person is thinking of me, so I can be a better person. But I'm a big believer in that our experiences outline where we will go. So what we take in is how we will basically go on. So I don't know, it's become natural to me. It's just part of life now.
And as you look at leadership opportunities, do you find yourself trying to decide what you feel you can contribute most, or how do you decide how you want to invest your time in terms of leadership activities?
That's a really good question.
Thank you. It's the job of the president to ask questions.
I think when I'm deciding to, say for instance, join an organization, I really look at the purpose, and I think I do try to see how I can contribute to it. Because, for example, when I joined OLA, I'm clearly not Hispanic or Latino of any origin, but I felt that I really wanted to help the organization, its purpose, and I'm a Spanish major, so I felt really connected to it as well.
Great. So finding things that connect that you believe in. Okay. Karen, what about you? As you've looked at leadership opportunities, what do you look for in a leadership opportunity, and what have you learned?
What I've learned, As a freshman, it's really funny. I really wanted to get involved on campus, and I was a go-getter, and if you'd asked me to be in an organization, I'd say yes immediately. But as growing up, I learned that you need to, there's only a certain allotted of time that you can devote to something. So I had to prioritize what I wanted to do, and I picked the ones that were most important to me in shaping my future. So Ola, Tav Solomio, and being a Shades of Success mentor. Those are the important ones that are going to help me grow into, because in the future I want to be working with our nation's leaders and shaping the future of our country. So these organizations right now will help me develop into something bigger.
Okay, great. So, well, you mentioned Maria or other younger students. You're all RAs, so you're giving advice to younger students. What advice do you give them about getting involved in campus activities and how to practice leadership?
I think that it's important to encourage them to get involved because, you know, you're moving into a new environment and you don't know anyone, and it's a great way to get involved in the sense to make friends even. And then I know that, you know, a reason for me to get involved is to, you know, make friends, and because I don't know anyone here, and so I think it's a great way for them to connect with people. And so, I mean, that's a reason why I encourage them, so that, you know, they don't feel like they're alone or they don't have anybody. So it's a great way to connect.
Rose, what advice do you give your freshmen?
One of the big things I've said is do something that you're not comfortable with. Like, challenge yourself to really see how much you can grow with the position. And I think that, like, personally, I've done the same thing, and I always encourage other people to do the same thing because you can learn the most that way.
Okay, and that's certainly something that we hope students will try when they're at Otterbein, is sort of leave your comfort zone a little bit, get out there a little bit, talk with people who aren't like you in the background. Karen, what do you think
I think
what advice would you give?
Yeah, getting involved on campus definitely gives you a sense of connection to Otterbein, and it does allow you to grow. So yeah, I encourage that.
Okay, well, I want to turn to talk a little bit about, again, the Cardinal experiences, and I know some of you have done other things related to Cardinal experiences, so I just want to ask you, do you think leadership is very significant in terms of the Cardinal experiences? Is it one of what should be 5 of the most important kinds of experiential learning opportunities you can have at Otterbein? Is it something that you think everyone should experience? We'd like for them to experience it, but let me hear your perspective on, is it important enough to be in those 5 cards?
I think so. I definitely think that it's important for you to, you know, have a leadership role in something so that you understand, like, when you go out in the community, there are, you know, people you can, so that you have the confidence to help those people who may not, you know, have those privileges, or even to, I think when you're a leader, you understand you can take authority as well as give authority, and I think that when you go into the workforce, you have to take authority as well as you may have subordinates under you, and you have to give authority. And I think being a leader, you understand that role, and it definitely helps you grow as a person because you have, you know, different kinds of problems within an organization, and you find ways to deal with those, and so it definitely helps you grow as an individual.
Okay. Larez, you have any thoughts on this one?
I definitely think that being a leader is important because it allows you to develop certain skills that you may or may not have known that you had. And I will be honest, not everyone can be a leader, but it's also finding what kind of leader you are as well.
Okay.
And I think that's important to know.
Okay, I think that's an excellent point. I think a lot of people think that leadership is something that there's a sort of checklist that you have to do,
exactly.
and that's what being a leader is. And I think the challenge for lots of people is being true to themselves, but also asserting leadership in positive ways. And sometimes people, I think, struggle with that a little bit. Karen, what about you?
I agree with Ashara. Being a leader is also being a follower, and so listening to others, learning how to time manage. So all these things you learn about these abilities that you have that you didn't know, and then you grow into being a better person.
Okay, well, let's then take that idea of leadership and the 5 cards and think about what it means to say you learn in the classroom and you learn outside of the classroom. So the idea is with the new curriculum, students would graduate from Otterbein and they would have a transcript of their academic program. And then they would also have an experiential transcript. So on the one hand, yeah, see, this is, if you're entering as a freshman, you know this, but for some of the upperclassmen, all these pieces haven't yet come together. But what you would show is, this is what I did in the classroom. My major was international studies, or whatever it is. And then these are the ways I practice the 5 cardinal experiences. This is the kind of internship I did. This is the kind of community engagement, community service I did. This is the kind of leadership opportunity, and so forth. This is the original research I did, and so forth down the line, so that, in fact, each student, by the end of his or her career, could have a completely different experience, because they combine internships and leadership opportunities and global engagement opportunities in different and unique ways with their particular major. So I guess, now where am I going with this question? What I wanted to ask you about is, as you think about, obviously the 5 cards weren't in place, there were ideas about experiential learning, you were encouraged to become leaders, you were encouraged to pursue some of these other pathways, but now that it's kind of part of a whole, so you have your academic curriculum and you have your experiential curriculum. And if you think about that and putting these together as we move forward, and we try to help students find their way, I guess the question is, how has your learning experience, your curriculum, your major, and your academic program, how is that reflected or connected with your leadership experiences? So I know that's a complicated question, but it's sort of what our new curriculum is based on, is combining these in unique kinds of ways. So Karen, let's start with you this time.
Well, for example, the Integrative Studies program teaches you a lot about the world, and for example, my freshman year growing up in America was the class that I took. So that relates to the heritage of Latino Americans, because that's how that is part of our American culture. And then taking my international studies classes, I was encouraged to study abroad, so I studied abroad and I learned from those.
And where did you go?
I went to Argentina.
Oh, great.
Yes. So I don't know, I think it was just like a good opportunity to interact both the class and the outside world and put them together.
So you think it will strengthen as you come out of school, it will strengthen your classroom experiences by having these out of the classroom experiences and making those fit in some way. Okay, good. Lorez, what about you?
I definitely believe in the out of the classroom experiences, because I felt I came into Otterbein with a chemistry major, and I realized that it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. But through my involvement with residence life, through mentorship programs, I saw what my strengths were and what I really wanted to do, and it allowed me to move on to my actual career.
And you've stuck with chemistry as a minor?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think you'll use that?
I definitely think so. There are concepts that you can learn in chemistry that I believe can be applied to anything, such as finding connections through things that you wouldn't normally see. And I believe I've done that by going along with my career.
It's a very interesting combination, Spanish and chemistry. I just wondered what you had in mind. Do you have a particular career goal in mind, or?
Well, I plan to go on to graduate school to get my master's in education to be a student affairs professional. And I want to use my analytical side along with my love of culture and people to combine those things.
Okay. And you've certainly had a lot of student affairs experience. You'll be a trooper. You'll be an experienced. Okay, and Ashar, what do you think about it?
I definitely think, I totally believe with Lorez. I believe in the out-of-class experience, and I think that, what I learned in class is something that I use in, my out-of-class experiences, as in, even this quarter I'm in a lot of cultural classes, and I learned a lot of things that I didn't know about, the Japanese or the German students, and I can use that in the organization, the International Students Association, and so I think that even when you're in a classroom, regardless of whether it's marketing or finance, it's you're dealing with the students and you're dealing with people, and I think that by these experiences you learn how to be a team player and you learn how to do projects together. So I think it's definitely important.
Well, that's a great segue to my last question for you all. And this is a more personal one, so brace yourselves. But it is that idea of what do you think is the single most important thing you've learned about yourself by practicing leadership? So what have you realized about yourself that you didn't know before?
Ooh. I would like to start this.
Okay, all right, that's good.
I learned that I have a lot of potential.
I could have too. I'm glad you realized that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that through all the experiences, I've learned that I not only have potential, but I know that I can always do more and I can always better myself. And that's one of the greatest things that I've taken away from this experience.
That's a terrific answer. That's a terrific answer. Karen, what about you?
I don't know if I can top that answer. I just learned a lot about myself through these experiences. My perception of what a leader was is totally different than what it really is. I thought a leader was someone that just told people, like, this is what you do. But I learned how to be a team player, and I learned how to time manage and listen to others' concerns about things the issues that are going on in the different organizations. So I think that's important.
Okay, great. Asha?
Yeah, I think one thing I've learned is that how patient you need to be. I think that coming from a different culture, it's really difficult to maybe sometimes understand what really is going on, or for the other person to understand you. So I think I've definitely become more patient in the leadership role, and definitely going with Karen, like, you really learn to work together, and time manage definitely is a big thing that I learned.
Okay, well, and all these are skills that I think will be important. Certainly if we go back to that notion of we're preparing you for a full life, we're preparing you beyond your first job, preparing you for the rest of your life. So it's not only about what jobs you will have, what career you will fill, but also about your own ambitions in the rest of your life. So a lot of these experiences are experiences that have prepared you to be engaged citizens in your communities, to give back, as you put it, Ashara, to really think about ways that you can serve your communities and provide other people with more opportunities as well. So this has been a great discussion, and I appreciate your insights. So let me come back to then a bit of a conclusion here, just in terms of where we are. We are now 4/5 of the way through our discussions with students of the Cardinal experiences and what this will mean for students in our new curriculum as they learn to find ways to combine where their passions are in terms of their interests as they prepare for their academic programs and pursue those academic majors and minors, as many of our students do, but also then combine those interests, those academic interests, with practice, with taking their learning and their knowledge and their skills out into the world through things like community engagement, through things like internships, and certainly in terms of practicing leadership so that they can contribute to their communities over the lifelong opportunities that they will find themselves in during the course of their lives. Thank you so much for joining us.
This year, 1 in 3 older Americans will fall at home, risking a potentially lethal hip fracture. For information on making your home safer, visit orthoinfo.org. A message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
This is not a race. On the road to financial independence, the winners are the ones who stay the course. Learn more about securing your financial future and choose to save. It will pay off in the long run.
The American Legion, we're a powerful force for the nation. We work relentlessly within our 4 pillars of service, and we succeed. Go to legion.org to find out more about the American Legion's commitment of service to America.
Find time to talk to your parents about getting older.
We can do it the day after I die, okay? I'm busy.
No matter who you are, it's not easy talking about aging. For help, go to voa.org/talk. A message from Volunteers of America.
My husband, Hank, he taught me to live like there's no tomorrow, and we did it all. European vacations, expensive cars, the best restaurants. Life was great till he died. Now there are no tomorrows for Hank, but they're all I've got. Because we never saved a dime.